assault and batteries, but my trunk stay ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Alright, I've been wanting to do this video for a while now. Considering it's been almost 10 years since my last WrestleMania, it really makes me appreciate and be thankful that I've been able to have the experiences that I've had over the last 15 years being on YouTube, and even before that. If you would have told 8-year-old me that, throughout my life I'd be able to go on YouTube and be able to vlog my experiences, not only for one WrestleMania, but 6 or 7 of them all in a row, I would have thought you were crazy. And being able to see the things I saw at that WrestleMania, like the Undertaker streak being broken, I got to see the Hell in a Cell with Triple H and the Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as a referee. These are guys that I've watched growing up, and to see them have the end of an era match was just like surreal. Seeing The Rock versus John Cena at that same WrestleMania was just one of those things that, again, you talk about when you're a kid, and being able to see, sit row 8 for that match was like unreal. And then not only WrestleManias, but I got to attend Elimination Chamber this past year. I got to see the Survivor Series. I got to see SummerSlam. Just so many things that I have to go back and I'm like, damn, I really saw like John Cena and Randy Orton versus the entire Raw roster at a Monday Night Raw. I got to see Bret Hart winning the United States Championship from The Miz in Toronto on a random Monday Night Raw. And you really don't get to appreciate it until you're kind of in a position where you haven't been to a show, or you haven't been to a major pay-per-view like a WrestleMania. For me, like, it's been 10 years, but I will always be thankful that I've had the opportunity to do what I've done. But there's always a few things on my bucket list that I haven't had the chance to check off yet, and that's what this video is about. I have 3 things, and immediately, it took me less than 5 seconds to think about what those things are. And it's things I've talked about on YouTube, I've talked about it on my social medias, but it's something that I want to accomplish before it's too late. Who knows when that'll be, but for me, a personal goal is to have one of these 3 things checked off by the end of 2026. The first item on my wrestling fan bucket list is to meet The Rock. I know it's impossible, but I've had 3 chances, I want to say, 2 or 3 that come to mind, and I don't want to sell the story here, but there's been chances where it's like, hey, just so you know, The Rock's going to be at this location, and things get broken up over communication and I don't get to attend. But I know he's always around for movies. He always does red carpet stuff in Toronto. And I know a lot of my Facebook friends, they are out there at 6 in the morning knowing he shows up at like 4 p.m. and they'll wait and he shows up and they end up meeting him. And from what I heard, he is a class act and he is appreciative to all his fans waiting in the cold. The second thing on my bucket list is to attend a Royal Rumble. As I mentioned before, I've been to WrestleMania, I've been to a SummerSlam, I've been to the Survivor Series. The only thing left on my bucket list is Royal Rumble. And my original plan was to go to last year's. I don't know what happened. I think things kind of got all shuffled up, especially with WrestleMania. I think we had plans to do Mania in Vegas, but then we saw the prices, so I had already scrapped the Royal Rumble plans. But of course, Mania will always take precedent over the Royal Rumble, and I'm not going to Saudi Arabia, so we'll see what happens over the next few years. But the Royal Rumble, I feel, as a wrestling fan, it's just something you want to attend. You want to see the countdown, you want to see the surprises, and yeah, it's just one thing I've always dreamt of since I was a kid. One of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, so to be able to attend that and just to say I was part of history would be like an awesome thing. The last thing on my wrestling bucket list would be to attend a wrestling event overseas, in Europe, in Japan, wherever. And I'm not saying specifically it has to be a WWE event, because I know there's Wrestle Kingdom in Japan, All In is always in Europe. So I know the options are there, and I don't want to limit it just to WWE, considering that there's so much good product out there for wrestling, especially in big stadiums. So for me to say that I traveled overseas, whether it be to Europe, whether it be to Japan, Asia, wherever, I just want to go to a stadium show outside of North America. And yeah, just one of those things to be part of that, the atmosphere. And you see Monday Night Raw, they were just in Ireland this couple of days ago, and crazy crowd. And to see all the UK fans who come to America for WrestleMania, they're the ones who create that vibe, just the unreal atmosphere that you see at WrestleMania. And to be on their home turf and to see how they, treat the events and how their pre-game rituals are or whatever. just want to be part of all that. I extended this question out to my social medias. I posted it on my Twitter, my X, as well as my Facebook. And I did get a few responses, and I wanted to share them with you guys. And after reading the responses, you realize that everyone's mind is kind of on the same page. Everyone wants to do the same thing, and I feel like there is a standard for what a wrestling fan has to do in their span of being a wrestling fan. First one comes from Noah Nation Vlogs. If you haven't checked out his channel, be sure to do that. And he's been making videos forever, and he's been a loyal follower of mine for, I want to say, over like 10 years. And he said, still need to attend a WWE event at MSG, witness an Elimination Chamber live, and still need to meet the last two of my top 5 favorite of all time, who he hasn't met yet, and those guys are Batista and Edge. Not a bad top 5, and Big Dave has always been on. That's another thing. I got to meet my top 5 as well, and to say you've been able to meet guys that you've like idolized in your top 5, it is definitely something to be proud of. And yeah, another one I've noticed a lot of people responded to was going to MSG. And it's funny because guys in New York, this is just a regular Monday for them. They'll go to Rangers games, they'll go to shows, concerts, whatever. But to fans who aren't able to have that at their disposal, it's one of those bucket list things. And for me as well, I've been to MSG a couple times, one for a New York Rangers game during WrestleMania 29, and then as well for the Hall of Fame, which I believe it was Mick Foley and Donald Trump, I think, got inducted that year, as well as Bruno Sammartino. So to say I've gone to the building is one thing, but to attend an actual live event, I feel like would be on another level. Next is Stevie Breach, who says that I want to see a Money in the Bank, I want to go to Wrestle Kingdom, and I want to make a display of championship titles. Again, I've seen a lot of people who wanted to attend a Money in the Bank. I haven't attended one myself. Wrestle Kingdom, I feel, would be a crazy experience. I know back in the day, we would all dream of just like all getting together and going to Japan. But from what I hear, Japan is a crazy city nonetheless. So to have that mixed in with wrestling would be an unreal experience. And last, TJ Jane wants to attend a Money in the Bank. He wants to eat with Jey Uso, which is a cool one. You know, that's I feel like that'd be kind of cool as well. But he when he came to Toronto he wasn't in Toronto for the Elimination Chamber, so I didn't get to do that with him. And then last, he wants to attend an open air all-in event, which I guess he means a stadium show. So London is in all-in is in London, so that's it's an option. You know, it definitely is something to think about. So I'm extending the same question out to you guys here. So if you want to leave a comment on what your wrestling bucket list items are, I'd be very curious to know. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.